today's webinar is part of the Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program. The Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program is all about helping international students get ready for their careers. So whether it's during study, post-study, and we do so by helping you be provided with all of the resources that you might need. We've got lots of great sessions available, one-on-one sessions, great in-person events, online opportunities like this, which hopefully work through your busy schedules. And then lots of other tips and tricks that we share on the Study Melbourne website. So today's session is all about networking and how networking can help set you up and your career for life. So my name is Ellen. I am the Events and Partnerships Manager at Intern Match. We're based here in Melbourne, but have offices around the world. So in the UK, now in Africa, Canada, Nepal, Indonesia, and expanding. So who knows where we will get to next. I'd love to connect with you all. So I've just QR coded my LinkedIn page. I hope that you'd like to connect. It's all part of the journey here. If you'd like to pop in your LinkedIn profile into the chat, that would be great to just connect with anyone that's on today's session. So Intern Match, we're a Melbourne-based EdTech scale-up focused on placing students into internship opportunities, and we are the delivery partner for the Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program. I would like to do an acknowledgement of country, which is a super important part of the proceedings today. I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are presenting from today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today also. So your journey here in Australia, we encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and expand your network. We understand that that's not easy, but we're here to offer you lots of opportunities to do so. Whether you've just arrived in Australia, you just need some basic resume help, you have a job coming up, anything like that, we're here to help with. Study Melbourne also have really great support with whether it's something you need some help with rentals, some other career advice, life advice, law advice, anything like that. Go to the Study Melbourne website and hopefully you can get everything answered there, or come along to one of our great in-person events, which I'll take you through shortly, and as well as our sessions where you can actually have a one-on-one session with one of either myself or one of our staff, and we can help you out with your career here in Melbourne. So here are the 30-minute sessions. You can book up to 2 of these sessions because it's quite in demand at the moment. It might take a few weeks to actually get a booking, but we will do our best to get you in a bit earlier if a session becomes available. But simply, we run these on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 till 5 p.m. And they're half-an-hour sessions. You don't need to take the full 30 minutes, but it's a great opportunity for you to have someone read over your resume, help you from scratch if you don't have a great template, help you get prepared for an interview. You might have an interview coming up and we can help do some quick interview questions. Yeah, like a mock interview style sort of thing. We can help with cover letters, make your LinkedIn profile look amazing. We can give you tips on networking, whatever it might be, just to make your whole journey here in Australia nice and smooth and support you while you study or post-studies. So I'll just leave that up for a couple more seconds. If you'd like to book a session, please do so. We look forward to seeing you all. And here's what we'll cover today. So understanding the power of your network, how to be a good conversationalist, identifying networking opportunities, and getting ready to network online. So all of these things are touching on lots of different areas of networking, and it's super important for you as a new student or a alumni here in Melbourne or in Australia to go through all of these topics and make sure you're expanding your network hopefully you can do that super organically as well. So, perfect. Let's get going. So, networking is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. So, as simple as that. Networking is having conversations, and networking is nurturing and maintaining relationships. We're networking all the time. So right now, if you were to share your LinkedIn profile, or if you're to take a screenshot of today's webinar and post it on your LinkedIn, that will just help you grow your network. You're showing people that you're active and you're engaged in your personal and professional development, which we'll go through shortly. Perfect. Nice. So I'm getting a couple of LinkedIn profiles, which I'll share at the end. It would be great to, actually, I might just share this first one. Thank you for sharing, and I hope you can see the chat box. Please let me know if you can't. Perfect. So firstly, we'll get into understanding the power of your network. So through the Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program, we run lots of webinars like today, but also in-person events. And to me, it's very impactful to see people actually connecting in person, seeing them exchanging LinkedIn profiles, having a quick conversation. And that's all just quite basic networking, but that will take you a lot further if you know how to do it confidently. So we'll go through that in the first topic today. So why should you network? And I'm sure a lot of you know why you should be doing it, but let's go through exactly the impacts that it will have. So firstly, for your career growth, you might mention to someone at a networking event, in a webinar, whatever it might be, that you're looking for a specific role. They might know someone, it could be a family, it could be a friend that is actually hiring for that role, and they can simply connect the two of you together. You also might have the right introductions to the right people. Advice and mentorship is super important as well, and staying across opportunities and insights. So you might actually have a career in mind and you're like, I really want to become a civil engineer working for Oricon engineering firm. But you may also be introduced to the right people who say, here's a pathway for you to get there, or, hey, I actually wanted the same out of my career, but I tried this avenue instead. And they might even say to you, here, I've got a great person for you to speak to. Maybe connect with them online. Here's their email address. You never know where that connection can take place. Business needs is more so if you're starting your own business. If you're then hired in a role that you are working with the hiring manager to grow the team, networking just identifies people you can hire. So you might speak to another international student at an event, and then in 6 months' time, you have a role at an organization, and they say to you, do you know anyone that we can add to the team in this industry or this field, or currently studying and just wants part-time jobs? So you hold on to those connections from across your whole life and career. Also helps to provide suggestions, guidance and advice, and business development ideas and inspirations. So if you are to start this job and put forward some suggestions to your HR team, they would be more, I guess, inclined to go with an actual suggestion based on your network. And then thirdly, your personal needs. So attending networking events or just growing your network in general will help you build friendships, increase your confidence. It's a great sounding board. They almost become like your hype people. They will like your LinkedIn posts, and they will be engaged in your activities. And also mentorship. So you might either find a mentor through networking or become someone else's mentor. It could be a first-year student who's just arrived in Australia, and you reach out to them and say, I've been here for 3 years. We're studying the same field. Let's connect and hopefully help you out. Perfect. So I'm getting a couple of questions and they're really good at the moment. Let me just make sure. If you're unable to write in the chat, feel free to just put it in the Q&A for now, and I will copy it across. So one of the questions is, how can an introvert do networking? So I'm going to go through that shortly, and that all comes down to your personal pitch. So if you know how you're introducing yourself, whether it's in person, online, on your LinkedIn, on your resume, whatever it might be, if you know how to do that introduction, you're going to get a lot further than someone that is just confident and goes up to people and wants to have a chat. If you can kind of literally put together a brief, which is your personal pitch, that takes 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds, and says, hello, my name is John, and I like to do this, and my career goal is this. I'm looking for opportunities in this space. You're going to get a lot further than, just someone that likes to have a chat. So we'll go through that shortly. And we've all probably had moments of, I guess, anxiousness around, around networking. So we'll make sure that you're feeling nice and comfortable, and it all comes down to preparation. So when you might need your network. So as we were talking about before, it could be when you just arrived in Australia, you're completely refreshing your network. You're trying to just get a foot in the door. You've got your studies happening, but you might be looking for a part-time job, a full-time, like whatever it might be. That's the early career sort of stage for you, which is a super important time to establish all of the things that bring together your network. And then during your career, for someone like myself, I've been working for about 12 to 13 years. So during my career, I use networking pretty much as a sounding board or some advice. It's not often that I'm looking to change roles or look for other opportunities. I might kind of consider it every few months and look out there and go, oh, that would, like, maybe I'll strive to reach out to them and apply for a job if I'm interested. But during your career, it's more just important to maintain those connections. So if a connection of yours reaches out and wants to have a coffee, or they are celebrating a work anniversary, make sure you send them a message, congratulate them, just keep them kind of close to you. That then leads to career growth, which is, as we were talking about before, potentially hiring for your own businesses or for your own teams. And then career change, which you may complete your studies, have had a little bit of work experience in that industry, but then you decide, I think I'm going to change my career to another industry. I might go back to study, but I have a few people in my network that provide me lots of different broad opportunities. So as we were speaking about before, we have lots of events, and there's plenty of events in Melbourne and around Victoria that are happening. Most of them are free. Feel free to just go straight to things like Facebook, Eventbrite, Meetup, LinkedIn. All the platforms I'll share on the next slide will be super beneficial for you. They're all free, and you might just come across the perfect event for you. It could be specific to your field, or it could just be a general networking event, which is what we're hosting in just over a month's time at Melbourne Zoo, which I'll tell you about shortly. LinkedIn is obviously the biggest platform to grow your network. They have over 1 billion users, and most people are checking it daily, if not more. So it's super important to make sure you at least have a profile, and then you can actively use it quite easily as well. We have LinkedIn webinars that we've recorded, which I'll share the resources to after this webinar. You might just want to sit back and watch the 45 minutes on how to use LinkedIn to your benefit. And then you've also got university and work. So you might meet other international students. You might come together and start a business together through your part-time job. It may not be the job that you want to pursue your career in, whether it's a cafe, in retail, whatever it might be. But you never know a customer that you might meet. You always have your personal pitch ready to go if you're meeting the right people. So I'll go through. So this is the upcoming events that we have for Study Melbourne Career Catalyst. We do have one on April the 17th, which is all networking focused. So feel free to scan this QR code. Again, I will send everything in an email after this webinar to the 2024 events link. On April 17th at Melbourne Zoo, we'll have Dickie Curra, he's from the Startup Network. So he'll talk all about arriving in Australia, how he built his network and his business. And we'll also have a couple of other special guests, which will be announced shortly. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to register for those. We also have a LinkedIn event next week in person in South Melbourne. We have a few tickets left for that one, a few spaces available. So if you want to, you just need to bring your laptop along. We'll have some food, popcorn. It's actually at a movie cinema in South Melbourne, so quite easy to get to. So make sure you snap that one up, and we look forward to seeing you in person soon. So topic number 2 is how to be a good conversationalist. The art of conversation. A conversation is the encounter of two polished minds, tactful enough to listen to, confident enough to express their true beliefs, subtle enough to search out the reasons behind their thoughts. A conversation is a work of art with more than one creator. And what makes a great conversationalist? They listen more than they speak. They use your name throughout their conversation. So that's also a great idea. When you meet someone, you might be introduced in a conversation, or you might speak to them over a coffee, or it could be through university or through work. If their name is Sam, say, lovely to meet you, Sam. And then if the following question can be, so Sam, tell me about yourself. That will actually help you remember their name as well, which is important when you are trying to build your network. Make sure you pay attention to the details. A good conversationalist is empathetic and curious. So you're empathetic, especially like you value their time. You're curious about how they got to where they are, and you have an appropriate level of vulnerability. So self-disclosure. You might say, look, I'm studying nursing. It wasn't what I, wanted to do. But I kind of found a bit of a passion for it when I was helping back home. I actually did some placement and some time at a local medical center in the reception, and I realized that I'm quite an empathetic person and I wanted to try nursing. Here in Australia, I'm studying my nursing degree, and I'm looking for opportunities next year or right now, whenever it might be. So you can be as open as you want to be with your career in mind. So, and great body language, of course, which is eye contact, like open, smiling, sort of ready to tell the other person about yourself. So being very like approachable is super important. You don't need to be the most confident person in the room. You just need to be able to be ready to listen to someone, tell them about yourself, and then be interested, vice versa. So yeah, be interested and interesting. You don't need to have 10 fun facts about yourself, but maybe have a think about one that might spark their interest. Questions like, how did you find out about today's event? Or how long have you been in Australia? Where are you living and why do you like living there? What do you do outside of study? Questions that kind of make you seem like you're interested in what they're doing, but also ready to answer that for yourself as well. So that makes you an interesting person. So here's a bit of a breakdown on myself. So in terms of my values, my main priority is my family. I always make sure I have a good work-life balance. I love, as I said before, I love seeing the impact that my job has on young people across Victoria and Australia, and now around the world. If I was to go in order, I would say that my job is to help students and career changers feel prepared and confident to enter the workforce. And then a few other things, like I would love to run major events for the promotion of Victoria. I'm currently reading Where the Crawdads Sing. I love to go camping and I love to go out on a long weekend. And I'm currently learning how to use my Cricut printer, which is brings out my creative side. So have a think about for yourself and maybe take a screenshot of this, and just have a think about how you can fill this in for yourself. So what is it that you do? Why are you joining this webinar? What are you currently learning? And it might just be your studies, or it could be something else. What's your career goal? All of these points will then bring together a personal pitch. And this is just a brainstorming sort of activity, but you'll be surprised at how effective this will be, especially in person. And it just helps you start the conversation quite easily. And you never know, someone else might be reading the same thing. Someone else might be learning as well how to use a machine to print things out. Anything like that. Talk about what you love. And then hopefully that prompts some conversation as well. That's especially important for introverted people. And then in terms of your network, you're then just organically speaking to someone and building your network quite easily. So back to personal pitch. It can be a 15 to 30-second pitch. And it's just something that if you were to walk up to a conversation and there's a few people, other international students at a networking event, it's something that you can quickly say about yourself. You don't need to say, hello, I'm Ellen and I'm doing this and this is what I want to do. It can just be, I know what I want to tell them. They might be talking about potentially like a Melbourne University group that's coming together for an event. That's fine. You can obviously join the conversation. You might be studying at Swinburne, you might be studying somewhere else. Just kind of work out your pitch in your head so that you can join in the conversation and potentially add some value to the conversation. Of course, if you don't find it relevant, I'm sure they'll get onto the topic that you can actually join into. So sometimes it just takes walking up and politely joining a conversation and just introducing yourself. So even if they're mid-conversation, you can kind of go up and go to one person that's not speaking and just say, hi, I'm Ellen. Really great to meet you. Do you mind if I just, connect with all of you? And it might just be, here's a LinkedIn page for me. What are you studying? How long have you been in Melbourne for? You never know, you might just walk away with a new friend. Like, it might not be a connection that takes your career to the next level, but it's important to establish yourself here and connect with them and maintain that connection throughout your career. So how to craft this personal pitch of yours. So you need to just keep it brief, share your name, where you work or where you're studying, and your title. So even if you're studying at Swinburne and you're working at JB Hi-Fi in their tech team, you can say all of that. Mention your purpose. So you might be part of like a program or a community group. You might be volunteering, and that led you to see this event. You might have been scrolling Eventbrite for what's happening in Melbourne, and then you can come across this event and you want to build your own network. So as long as you're saying it positively and enthusiastically and going through these points, you will, as I was saying, you'll organically build your network because you're coming across confidently. And they might just say to you, look, tonight's event is all about, using LinkedIn. Do you have LinkedIn? And you go, yep. And you connect that way. They might say, look, I don't use LinkedIn. I don't think it's really relevant for my industry. And that's totally fair enough as well. But yeah, it's super important just to connect with each other, maybe just share an email address, just having a conversation. It'll make you feel a lot more confident here in Australia, but also in your next engagement with someone else. So identifying these networking opportunities. So these are a few platforms that you'll come across great events like LinkedIn, Facebook, Meetup, Eventbrite, and Humanitics. And that's just 5 of them. There are lots more out there, but those 5 are kind of the most relevant outside of your education provider platforms. So signing up to the Study Melbourne newsletter, they send a monthly newsletter to tell you what's happening in and around Melbourne and Victoria. And that includes online events, which are just as impactful as in person. For example, if I was looking for a networking event in Collingwood, here are a couple that came up when I did this webinar last year. So literally you can do a mentor walk. And obviously that was a paid one, but you can find free events as well. Yeah, so this is a working in Web3 Melbourne in real life event. So that was a free one. And then back to, LinkedIn, probably more online events at the moment I'm seeing. So webinars and seminars online. Facebook is more, from what I'm seeing, is more in-person events as well as Meetup. Eventbrite is quite a mix. And Humanitics might be a bit more outside of the industry that you're looking for, but something that might be of interest to you. Some networking event rules. So when you're attending an event, make sure that you're, first of all, kind of ready to network with other people. So to do so, you're going to be prepared and ready to actually network. And that doesn't mean, if you're feeling anxious about speaking to other people, most other people in the room are feeling the same way. But if you're prepared, if you kind of know, why am I going to this event and what do I hope to get out of this event? If you have your personal pitch ready, you'll feel a lot more prepared and ready to engage in conversations. Enter conversations politely but unapologetically. So you don't need to feel like you're not allowed to join a conversation. As I was saying before, you might just spark up a conversation with the person next to you. You might not find that conversation relevant to you, but one person in that group might want to connect with you and might have some more advice or support to give you. Move around the room and change up your approach. So yes, it's nice to meet a friend at a networking event and stick with them to feel confident and to feel comfortable. But maybe say to them, hey, let's go over here and speak to them. They are talking to the guest speaker who we're really interested in meeting, or let's go over here and chat to these guys. I overheard them speaking about X industry. Of course, be a great conversationalist. So have your personal pitch ready and then follow up and connect with anyone that you meet. You might be really prepared and have like a printed business card. There's quick connect via LinkedIn, which is a super useful tool, which I'll take you through shortly. You're simply showing them your LinkedIn page and connecting straight away. But also message them after. It doesn't have to be straight away after the event, but a day or a couple of days after. Just message them and say, look, it was great to connect with you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you get up to. Or it was great to talk about the opportunities at your company. I'm connecting with you on LinkedIn and looking forward to seeing what you get up to. So there are a few rules that will hopefully make you feel a bit more prepared. Here you go. To set up a nice conversation with someone, introduce yourself first, ask their name, ask an open-ended question like we were saying before. How did you find out about this event? Are you part of this organization? Perhaps if you're at a event for Google or a brand or organization, you might say, do you work for them? If not, what do you do? What do you do with yourself? Listen with intent of understanding. So don't always think of, oh, what's the next question I'm going to ask them? So listen to their response, be an active listener, and actually engage with what they're saying. And you'll notice that they then realize that you're being an active listener, you actually care about what they're saying. And that might spark the next question for you. If not, I'm sure you'll always think of something else to quickly ask. Eye contact is super important. There's rules to kind of say how much eye contact you should have. Even when I'm presenting, I find that I'm not going to just read a screen. I like to let it organically my presentation come out. But when you're having a conversation with someone, you might say, how beautiful is this venue? And you look around, or you might point to another person that you met and say, oh, have you met Max over here? He's actually studying engineering and he might be interested to connect. And that way you're engaging with them, you're showing them that you care about their time, but you're also potentially supporting them to build their network even more. And embrace the silence and know when to end the conversation. So you may not have a lot to talk about with someone. There may be some things happening at the event up on the stage. You may be, just wanting to go off and get some food. So you just say, thanks so much. It was great to meet you. Let's connect on LinkedIn or email, and wishing you all the best for your future. You don't have to awkwardly stand with someone for a long time. They'll then go off and find the next person to chat to. And then that way you've ended the conversation nicely. I'm just going to check on a few of the questions. So someone's asked if we have any networking events coming up. Yes, and which we shared before. Sorry, I just saw your messages now. I will share everything in an email after this. So we have next week's LinkedIn event on Wednesday. And then on the 17th of April, we have a networking event in Melbourne Zoo, which is free. If you get there at 4 o'clock, you can actually walk around the zoo for an hour for free as well, and then come to the function space at 5 o'clock. It's just be a room full of other international students wanting to grow their network and support each other. We'll also have some industry representatives there as well, and our special guest, Dickie, who is an awesome guest speaker, but he'll also just share some great tips on how you can build your network here in Melbourne, and how you can really, feel comfortable and confident applying for jobs and kind of growing your, building on your personal and professional development. Someone's asked, is there's a recommended link for understanding tax and ABNs, GST, etc., which is a great question. Let's just say that would be a Study Melbourne question. They have a great support team who you can contact. You can actually go into their hub, which is at 121 Exhibition Street in the city, but you can also speak to them over the phone. So if you head to the Study Melbourne website, you'll be able to have some support there. Perfect. Another question, how to maintain connections. Let's just say a student meets X person, maybe a executive at the event. They talk, connect on LinkedIn. After this, how do I maintain over the coming months? Great question. With this, it's all about just you don't have to be actively posting what you're doing, but engaging in what they're doing or what their company is doing is very important. So, for example, if they are working at Microsoft, just maybe once a week, pop in a reminder in your phone to have a look at what Microsoft have been doing and posting on LinkedIn. If they are posting something, it means that they're proud of that work, and potentially they want more people to know about it. So you might come across a project that they're working on and it's a sustainability focus and that lines up with your interests. Perhaps just share that post or repost it, like it, comment on it, and just show your interest. Because if your connection is from Microsoft, they're then more likely to see just how, with the algorithms with LinkedIn, they're more likely to see that you've posted on it because you're a mutual connection. And it shows that you're interested in the work that they're doing. It might not be directly their project, but you're showing the interest in the company. So, or you can always share it with them and say, "Hi, Mike, it was great to meet you last week at the LinkedIn event. I have just come across this great project. Just wanted to say it looks like a great, some great research has gone into it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next great thing that's coming up." And then from there, you don't need to really, I would not suggest kind of bugging them too much. You don't want to be sending too many messages without outcomes. But thinking ahead, like put yourself in their shoes. If you were to send them a message and say, "I need a job, Mike, help me out," he's going to go, "Yeah, but why do we need you? Like, what are the skills that you're going to bring to our organization?" So maybe say to him, "It was great to connect with you at this event. I feel that my skill set in these fields would line up really well with the work that your organization is currently doing, especially X project, which I've been following along with." Again, that just shows that you're engaged with the material that they're posting about. And a lot of companies, yes, they might be quiet on platforms like LinkedIn. They might just not have the personal resources to post on that platform. They might do so on their own website. They might use other social media platforms. They might have a newsletter, anything like that. Always just find the companies that you would love to work for, whether it's based here in Victoria or you'd like to work hybrid, like you'd like to just work from home and you're happy to work for whoever. Try and find maybe 10 to 15 companies that you would really like to work for and follow them on LinkedIn. Be active with their work and with your connections, and you will grow your network without even noticing. And it just shows that you're very interested in their work. So another few questions about upcoming events. Someone said, "When I was an international student, things like eye contact and calling your boss with their name were new," which is interesting. I think, and then you've also said, "How can I start a small talk?" And I'm assuming what you mean here is like, how do I have small talk with someone? And that before was kind of covered in having your personal pitch ready. So having the information about yourself nice and clear. But then also just talking about maybe something that's happening in Melbourne, or something that you're interested in that's coming up, a project that you're working on. Hey, do you have any pets? Is there anything that like you have in common? Even just Google the top 10 small talk questions at a networking event. It's amazing what you can find, like literally just by Googling something like that. You might be on the tram on your way to the event and you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling a little bit anxious about being social right now. I'm so focused on my studies and I forget about networking. I'm going to this, but I don't really know why I'm going or who to speak to." That's perfectly normal. Always come up to the event person as well. Someone like myself, if I'm at an event and I'm running an event, I might not have a lot of time to have a chat to you, but I would like to say hello, and maybe point you in the direction of someone who I know is studying the same course or has the same career aspirations. So feel free to reach out. And also, if I'm someone like myself or a staff member or a guest speaker, if they're busy, they're more, it will just help your confidence if you kind of go up and say, hey, hello, I'm just saying hello. You know, I'm studying this and just here to kind of meet new people and hear more about LinkedIn or resumes or whatever the topic is. And I then remember you, and 5-10 minutes later, when I've got some time, I'll come over and say hello and maybe pull you over to another group and say, let's you know, let's get you guys connected. So always feel free to just reach out. That's what we're all here for. So I've got a message about, I'm an international student. I will cold email startups in the next few weeks for internship opportunities. What would your advice be to be included in that to convince them that I have the ability as well as potential? That's a great question. Make sure, as much as you're cold emailing a company, make sure that from now until then you're, you know, connecting with what they're doing. As I was saying, make sure that you're following them, that you're up to speed with where they're at as a business. You might just connect with a few of the staff that they have, and just say simply that you're looking for internship opportunities and you want to stay across the work that they're doing at the moment, ready to apply for an internship opportunity when it becomes available. And that way, you're in the next couple of weeks, you might see a post or two about what they're actually working on, and you can reference that when you apply, and make sure that it's the right suit for you. I'll share a few of the LinkedIn links that you're all sending, which is amazing. Yes, we will share the presentation slides for this. And another one is it can be challenging to do networking due to background noise that's too loud. Recommendation or tips. So of course, you can't really help when there is a lot of background noise or when there's a lot of speaking and you don't actually get much time to network. Try to go to networking events that have the agenda set out if possible, so that you actually know, yes, there will be time for networking. Our event at the Melbourne Zoo will primarily be time to engage with each other. So there'll be some networking kind of activities. We'll have some prizes, but there will just be time, probably like 20 to 30 minutes at least, for you to just walk around and practice these skills. And everyone there will be in the same position, just wanting to expand their network here in Melbourne for potentially the first couple of months that they've been here. So background noise is obviously a bit tricky to deal with. Always have your LinkedIn Connect, like QR Connect, which I'll show you shortly. Have that ready to go. It's an easy way to just be like, look, I can't hear you, but let's connect and chat offline. Of course, you can walk away to another area, and hopefully you can build that connection after the event. And then utilize the time, maybe post-event, if you catch them as they're walking out, walk to the train station with them, have a chat, and hopefully you don't have too many noisy events coming up. And someone else has asked, can you please share the LinkedIn profile, intern match LinkedIn profile? I can do that. I will put everything in the email that we'll send out after this event. Presentation slides, I'll share those too. So at the networking event, so we'll have Dickie Curra from the Startup Network. We'll also have a representative from Zoos Victoria, which is literally where we will be. And we invite lots of other host companies of ours, including Coca-Cola and a few of the connections that we're currently making through the Study Melbourne program, to come along as well. So you never know who you're going to meet. We always encourage our employers and companies representatives to come along to these events. So yeah, definitely come along. It's only at 5 o'clock, so it won't be a late night. You can go walk around the zoo for an hour beforehand. And there's a few great LinkedIn profiles. I'm just going to share a few in the chat. Everyone's offering to connect, which is amazing. That's what it's all about. You don't need to have a great LinkedIn profile. Oops. Oopsie daisy. Here we go. Sorry. You don't need to have a great LinkedIn profile. You just want to be willing to connect with everyone. I'll share some more. What have we got here? And then we'll go into topic number 4. Someone has asked, can domestic students come to the event? The event is for international students only, so as well as the whole Study Melbourne program. So you do have to be a current international student or alumni. There are definitely events through their own education provider that they can go to. But yeah, unfortunately, it is just for international students. Here we go. So feel free to reach out and connect with the people that I'm putting in the chat box. It's a great way to just meet who's come along today. I'm hoping I've sent through most of them, and I'll send through some more right at the end. So let's get back to the presentation. So LinkedIn. Just briefly, LinkedIn is essential to networking. Why do you need it? And as I said before, there are some industries that you just may not find LinkedIn relevant to you. But LinkedIn is important, even if you just have a basic profile. It helps you engage with people during events while also connecting with them like on LinkedIn. So you might talk about as a topic or a person that you're connected to and also connect with them. It helps you start your network online, seek out advice from people you can learn from, gain inspiration, opportunities, and advice. So it might even just be your local community where you live. For example, you might live in Hawthorn, just outside of Melbourne. The Hawthorn Red Cross might be looking for volunteers on a Saturday morning for a few hours to work at the local thrift shop. And that way you're getting some experience at an Australian organisation. It may or may not be paid, whatever it might be that they're posting about. But that way it's something that you just kind of scrolled across and you're like, I live in Hawthorn and that could work for me. I don't study on Saturdays and looking for something to do. And it also helps you nurture your network. So remind them that you exist. You add value to their lives through engagement, information, and support. So by maintaining and connecting with people after you connect with them is super important. So first things first, create a profile. Here is mine. I simply put up a headshot last year or the year before. It's kind of not what I look like at the moment, but that's a headshot for you. I love the beach and I grew up in Western Australia, which is literally the west state of Australia. So that's something that I love, and I love to see that photo, and it just reminds me of like, you know, adventure and the things that I'm passionate about. But then as you scroll through my profile, it's more about what I've done, work experience, education, all of those things. As you can see, you can press this open to button, and that then showcases to recruiters or people that have the recruiter LinkedIn, what you're looking for. So what opportunities you're open to and roles that you would like to know about. My contact info, I think, just has my email address. You can add your phone number. It's just a great platform to use, just the free version. You don't need to have the premium version unless you want to invest in that. This is the quick connect at events. So as we were saying before, if it's a loud event, if there's lots of background noise, if you don't feel overly confident having a conversation, just use quick connect. And that's simply by opening the app on your mobile phone, clicking the search bar at the top, and this QR code will come up for you. And then you can also scan someone else's QR code, but it's just a quick way. It's almost just like it's just a digital business card. and you can save it to your photos. So I would suggest doing that anyway, because you might get to a venue and everyone's connected to the Wi-Fi and there's terrible internet service, but at least you've got it in your gallery. If you don't have the app on your phone, print it out, whatever it might be. That's Quick Connect. So as I was saying, I'll send the slides to this presentation through, but that's a great function of the software. The people you need to be connecting with, obviously friends through all of the things that you're doing, colleagues, current and previous. The organization that I work for have a little bit of like a staff turnover. A lot of people are growing and leaving the organization for other roles. Lots of people are joining us. So if someone is joining, for example, we have a new starter that started today. Last week, I reached out and I connected with them on LinkedIn and just said, looking forward to having you join the team. For that person, they then feel comfortable that they have a connection here. And they also feel like comfortable enough to then talk about their experience with us, and maybe even update their profile to say that they're interning here at Intern Match with our data and dev team. And then people you meet and everyone you meet, make sure that you're asking them if they use LinkedIn. And if they don't, perhaps they don't use the platform, they're not in the industry that does use it, connect with them via email. Every couple of weeks, send them an email, see how they're going, grab a coffee with them. Most Australian employers are very open to just having a quick coffee catch up. You don't need to actually drink coffee, but you can just meet them for 15 minutes close to their office and you just want to talk about what you can bring to their business. Of course, your stakeholders, so anyone that wants to hear about your life, people you can learn from and you're interested in their career or content. So for example, you might have an interest in working in aviation, and someone like Richard Branson, who owns the Virgin Airways company, you might be interested in the work that they're doing. It might not be specific to like the engineering or the aviation that you want, like the actual field that you want to do. But it just goes to show that you're learning from someone who is a mentor to thousands of people, but also has built, I guess, an empire, and how they've built it, what they're still doing to improve the business, what's coming up, how they communicate it to people. So make sure that you're following lots of people that you're just interested in. And that's also an important one to have on LinkedIn, because if, for example, I was looking to hire a staff member, I would go on your LinkedIn and have a look at what you're interested in, because you might say, oh, yeah, I'm really interested in sport and the development of tech in sport. If I go onto your profile and you don't have any interests, you don't have really much mention of sport, you're doing a tech degree of some sort, I'm a bit like, how interested are you? Because you're not really following along, like maybe with the trends, and a lot of that would come across on platforms like LinkedIn. So make sure that you're following the interests that you actually have. And you never know, you might connect with someone and they go, hey, we've got the same interests. And when you do connect, make sure you're adding a note. And this is just the same as when you're connecting with someone in person. Your note is pretty much your personal pitch. Why do you want to speak to this person? So did you meet at an event? Did you just want to know more about their company? Perhaps you're starting a role with that company and you just want to connect to have a friend or a connection when you start. Do they post great content that you want to see more often? So this is an example, reaching out to David from DHL. He's the talent acquisition manager, probably someone that gets lots of connection requests, which is totally fine, but that's why it's important to add a note to your invitation. So giving him the reason that you're connecting and what you're wanting to get out of it. Ideally, you do want to say something like, I'm doing this at the moment and I feel that my skill set would add great value to your organization for X, Y, and Z reason. And that way David goes, okay, Ellen's sent a message through. We don't have anything at the moment, but when we do, I've got someone that I can reach out to and see if she's interested in the role now. I hope that makes sense. I think on your phone, there's a bit of a tricky one. I don't think you're able to actually add a note. So I would suggest when you're connecting with someone on LinkedIn to do it on your computer. And that might just be me, but so nurturing your network, super important. Engage, engage, engage. So like, comment, share on LinkedIn, on social media, whatever it might be. Just be active. Keep it across their lives and the work of that organization. So if they're doing a promotion, if they're talking about a new role, if they've just celebrated 50 years of the organization, just get around it, like just be engaged, do something, because you're more than likely then going to be noticed by other employers of the organization, especially the HR team or the managers that are recruiting. Ask questions, touch base and check in. Are they hiring for a role at the moment? Talk about the projects that they're working on, ask them how it's going, be interested in what they're doing, without simply just saying, I need a job, can you help me? Share some content with them. So make sure that you're posting about what you're doing, or if you meet someone at a networking event and you see a blog or something that comes across your network and you go, oh, I met someone last week who really needs some work experience in whether it's like web development, whatever it might be, and you come across a great article that explains how you could potentially get an internship in web development. You then can share that with them, and that creates more of a two-way sort of street for you. Some content ideas, which I'll just quickly show you the screenshot, but there's kind of like a 25% rule on what you should be posting. 25% is what you're up to. 25% is your company and peers, because it shows that you're, maybe proud of the work that you're doing. 25% is industry news, so reposting what other people are doing. And then 25% is self-promotion. So you might literally get a promotion, achieving a big project, submitting a big assignment, attending a webinar, anything that you're proud of. With the first 25% of what you're up to, it might simply be, today I attended a networking event at Melbourne Zoo and I met this person. You can tag them, or you just say, I met 10 new people and it was a great opportunity to talk about being an international student in Melbourne. And I hope to remain connected with those people. So back to the examples. You might have something nice and lighthearted, like your pet. Obviously, not too much of that, because that's not really the purpose of LinkedIn, but it is nice to see some human side to things. Make sure you congratulating people if they're starting positions, send them a message, comment on their post, even if you just write, great work, Gabrielle, like that's more than enough. You might start with a new team or take a team photo at the go-karting event for your work. Post about it and just say, here's our team. Look at those happy faces. We look forward to connecting with you. Engage in posts by others. So if someone's sharing a great role, here I've just posted, I've tagged someone else that I think might be really good for that role. Like I said before, attending conferences, attending webinars. If you read interesting blogs, it's always a great way to just share the content that is in your life. And you might kind of think, there's not much, I'm not really doing much, I'm just studying. But you've attended today's webinar, which is a great start, but you've also then opened up opportunities to come to other events, which you can then post about. Even just simply going on the Study Melbourne LinkedIn page or the intern match page and commenting on something that we're both doing. That's being engaging, and that's providing your own content. So your network is a long-term game. And we'll do a little recap. So networking will go over the span of your career. It's not just for now. It's not just to get the first job. It will continue going. So work on that pitch, that your personal pitch, and I'll share the resources for that afterwards. If you don't know how to do that, just think of a few facts about yourself, like what you're doing at the moment. Maybe you can always talk about where you're from, be proud of where you're from, what you've achieved in life so far, what you want to do with your career, with life, what is important to you. It might be friends, it might be family, it might be your dog, it could be whatever it might be. Get your LinkedIn profile looking really good, which we're here to help with. So feel free to book an appointment, a session with us to help you with that, Mondays and Wednesdays. Number 3 is attend events and make connections. So come along to the events that we're putting on in the next couple of weeks. Follow up with people, reconnect, reach out, use LinkedIn or other networks to nurture your network. LinkedIn or other softwares to nurture your network. Post about what you're doing, even if it's as simple as went for a walk around the CBD today. So great to see the city, thriving. Looking forward to my next adventure. Something like that. It doesn't have to always be very career. It just shows that you're engaging in the local community. Or if you're volunteering somewhere, if you're attending any sort of university event, just put up a simple post about it. Don't overthink it. Just simply do it. And you might get one like on your first, or you might get no likes on your first post. But as you grow your network, people will start to understand that that's important to you. Use your network for what you need and when you need it.